Welcome to the Sport and Society Squad Pod, aka the SAS. Each week, we bring you 3 sport or society stories to break down and give you our sassiest takes. With those sassy takes, we do want to give you a content warning that some of the language used on the pod may be explicit. We ask that you please just be mindful of where you are listening and who you are listening with. With that, let's get into it. I'm here with my co-hosts, Wahida and Chelsea. How we doing, ladies?
I forgot to mention to you guys earlier before the recording that I do have a massive sunburn on my back. So now it's spring. Apparently there's sunburns back. So just a quick reminder to listeners, wear your SPF.
Always.
Even if you don't feel like it's that sunny out. And I say that because I moved my shoulders and I was like,
ouch.
I felt it.
I don't know that life. I don't know that life.
Yeah, I'm like, what is sunshine?
No, it was 84 on Sunday. I was like,
ooh.
Where were you?
Austin, Texas. That's where my best friend lives. I know. That's why I came back with a little bit of an accent.
Welcome
You
back.
had that accent.
It's
A little bit.
true. It maybe a past life. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But with that, before we get into the playbook, I'm going to take us through a quick huddle. We will cover a few sport and society highlights from this past week so our listeners feel like they're in the know with the sports and pop culture world. Here are some huddle highlights that we won't be breaking down in depth, but think are worthy to note. And I'm dropping the accent. Okay.
I was going to say, are you going to do the whole thing? That's impressive.
That maybe next Halloween. How's that?
Halloween. That's crazy.
Well, I don't know. What's another occasion for that? 4th of July? I really don't know. I don't know. Don't ask me. Okay, to the huddle. In sport news, in local news, what?
Yeah.
The Mariners have released outfielder Mitch Haniger.
Mm-hmm. We don't know why, too, either. So it's kind of a bummer.
Do you think there's drama?
Possibly.
There's got to be if it's a release, right? Because it's not a trade.
No, not
There's
a trade.
difference?
They just released him.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, bye.
Okay.
So,
sorry, Mitch.
And there was a lot of story around that, too, right? Because Mitch Haniger had been with the team for a while through the shits years.
Yeah.
Then they let him go. They traded him away for some other key players, and then he came back, and folks were really excited about that. Right?
Yeah.
He's awesome. And then now, like, we hear this, so I haven't been able to read too much into it, but it's really interesting because the season starts this week, and they just announced this yesterday.
I'm pretty sure Sean's baseball chat is called Mitch's Bitches, but I could be so wrong.
Uh-oh.
I mean, they could still be Mitch's bitches, but he's not here anymore.
We'll get another Mitch on the team. Other local sports news, Washington native Cooper Kupp returns home. He's penned a new deal with the Seattle Seahawks.
All right,
That's
Cooper.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
He went
welcome
to Eastern,
home.
right?
Yeah.
He was just recently with LA Rams.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back,
So
Cooper.
welcome home.
Welcome home. In the NBA, Bill Chisholm, managing partner at Symphony Technology Group, never heard of that, has agreed to purchase the Boston Celtics from Grusbeck family, from the Grusbeck, is that right? Grusbeck family, for a valuation for, $6.1 billion, sources tell ESPN. This is now the largest sale for a sports franchise in North America.
Wow.
That's why that number felt big. I'm glad
it's the biggest.
Spot on.
It's the biggest.
It's the biggest.
That's a big bill to put forth. A zoning change was approved in Irving, Texas.
Kyrie Irving, Texas.
Kyrie Irving, Texas. That could lead to a new resort and arena by the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, whose owners purchased the Mavericks in 2023. So they're saying maybe another team in Texas?
Okay, wait.
Oh,
hold on. This is such
Hold the phone.
The drama. Remember what we talked about with the Luka trade was because the owner was pissed that they didn't give the approval so she could build her casino. Then she traded Luka. It's like in theory of like, well, fuck you guys. I got all this power. Look what happens. And then look at this. You got zoning changed.
All of a sudden.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, so you think that was a power move? I thought they were just saying
100%.
somebody else was
100% power
allowed to.
move.
Do we think that they're going to
I take the
move
fuck off back.
Dallas Mavericks to Irving, Kyrie Irving, Texas, instead of Dallas?
I don't know. Wolves. I mean, this is all speculative because I don't know. I mean, it's speculative, but these are rumors. But who's to say? Because I just think that's interesting.
Very
even
interesting.
though it's rumors, but it's enough rumors to be interesting.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Remember that Lindsay Lohan song where she's like dancing?
In the cage?
Yeah, there's like a helicopter.
No.
I'll send it to you. It's
I don't remember.
That was a classic, yeah.
She did like a really wild performance of it live. True fans know. If she goes on tour, that's where me and Wahida will be. Anyways, sorry.
I love a reunion tour. I love that OG tour.
Exactly. In NFL news, the Philadelphia Eagles officially proposed applying the current postseason overtime rules to regular season games. This OT rule requires that both teams have a chance to touch the ball in overtime.
Oh.
Okay.
That floats your boat. Yeah.
Weirdly
you want to touch it too.
Let me touch. I'm going to touch the butt. In WNBA news, WNBA comedy series, The W, I don't know, in the works. It's in the works. Okay. At Peacock for Chinese.
Chene Ogumake.
Fuck me. Okay. And Glow creators. Glow! Carly mentioned Liz Flahive. Sorry, I said that last one. But Glow, like the makeup series one?
I think so. Yeah.
No, maybe that's Glow Up. I don't know. I'm supportive of this. This sounds cool.
Chene is
I fucked you
Nneka Ogumake's sister. She plays for the Storm. Or Nneka does.
Oh, that's
for the
cool.
Storm.
And she is a ESPN analyst, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's really exciting. And I think it's supposed to be, it's a comedy, it's a scripted series, I believe. So that'll be fun.
Another cool women in sports show. Count me in. In society, this is insane.
This one's my favorite.
Music. Yeah. Did Drake lose in the tournament yet?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, way to slam dunk Drake this week. Okay, in society news, Universal Music Group has filed a scathing motion to dismiss Drake's New York lawsuit against them for promoting Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, claiming that Drake lost a rap battle that he provoked and in which he willingly participated. Instead of accepting the loss like an unbothered rap artist he often claims to be, he has sued his own record label in a misguided attempt to salve his wounds.
I want that tattooed on my chest. Like, I love that so much. Put him out.
Oh, I fuck with it.
He has to lay in it.
Yeah.
I wonder if he can't. Oh, God. I can't wait to see the next move. Not that
like the
unbothered
rap artist he often claims to be.
I know.
They just call them out
on so many scales.
That's my favorite part of it, that he claims to be guilty on all charges. Just not true. More lies. Ed Sheeran surprised fans with a performance at an Irish pub in Boston on St. Patrick's Day. I just thought that was a highlight because, like, what if you were out with your crew on St. Patrick's Day randomly and he just showed up to sing?
That would be amazing.
I'm not going to lie to you. I lived in Boston for a few years. I don't know if anyone
you said
in
you had
Boston.
Irish girls.
I do have Irish girls, yeah. I don't know if anyone in Boston celebrating St. Patrick's Day even recognized that it was Ed Sheeran. That's
because he was that drunk.
That's how lit it gets.
He's just a local lad.
Yeah. Well, and he's such a down to earth guy. Someone would just be like, "Oh, this guy
he's
can
like
sing."
Playing, and they're like, "This guy should be a celebrity.
This guy's good.
He's got pipes." I just thought that was fucking funny. If you stumbled into that. This caught me off guard. It was reported last week that Tracy Morgan was wheeled away from his seat at a Knicks game. And he shared to social media later that he had food poisoning. So sending health and healing his way. Someone was a real asshole, though, and took a picture of him mid-vomit on the court.
Yeah.
Why are people doing that?
Yeah.
Because
They
people
skipped the
suck.
game for like 10
mean.
minutes or something.
It's just
Or
fucked
a while.
up. And it's a disgusting photo. I feel.
Yeah.
I don't
very
think.
sick.
I hope he feels better.
Well,
That's
here's
a
the thing.
crazy
People
turn on this.
were unsure about what happened. So, like,
Mm.
there was a lot of speculation because he's dealt with health issues in the past. I'm glad
Yeah.
that it was just food poisoning and not anything more serious, right? Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good. It's just that.
Exactly. Conan O'Brien is set to host the 2026 Oscars again after apparently the show saw its largest TV audience in the past 5 years.
We have a lot of
Listeners
redheads.
know
We're talking.
that
We love the
it
redheads.
says this St. Patrick's Day was last week. I don't know if listeners if you listen to our episode about the Oscars, this is a little shocking to me personally because I'm sure Conan's a nice guy. It's just not my humor. So good for him, but fuck.
I also wonder if the Oscars saw a bump in audience participation because people were just looking for hopeful things to watch on TV that wasn't
fair.
the news and what's going actually on in
And,
the whole wide world.
Conan's approach was not controversial. Like, I think he stayed away from a lot of those hot topics.
That's very true. Well, you know what, Conan, we'll give you your flowers for that. This is taking me by surprise. This is breaking news for me. The Sex Lives of College Girls is done at Max after 3 years or 3 seasons. What the fuck?
Sad. They are shopping the show around though. So it's done at Max, but it doesn't mean that it's canceled. So hopefully someone else picks them up. I think it's a good show.
Well, and one of the main Renee Rapp, is that nice? She's not coming back
AKA
for
Chelsea.
sure, right? Chelsea?
Yeah. I mean, Chelsea could be Renee Rapp's cousin. You got Joe Burrow, Renee Rapp. His family.
What a
That's wild. That's a great family tree.
What a family. Yeah, what a family reunion. Can you imagine Christmas dinner?
Just absolute sass.
I mean, Renee would be really fun.
Table.
She's a hoot.
We team up on Joe for sure. Yeah. We have a lot of questions about that supposed girlfriend.
Yeah.
Anyways, this one's crazy too. A former employee of Eminem was charged with stealing the rapper's unreleased music. So shady business in the rap world again.
I like that little
shady business.
Shady.
That's slim shady.
Slim shady. Maybe that's why I wrote it like that. To be honest with you, I
didn't think about that.
I don't know if it was as conscious as maybe the back of my brain was feeling like it was. I don't know.
Well played though. That was a good one. It was a good one.
This next one's insane. Netflix announced that it will be releasing a new survival competition reality show titled The Golden Ticket that will fight for a chance to enter a Willy Wonka inspired chocolate factory. It's absurd, and I don't know why they went this way, but okay. Will either of you be tuning in?
No.
So random.
I don't know.
What is
maybe
happening?
So
My world's
random.
on fire. How about yours?
It's do we get paid in chocolate? What the fuck? So that's interesting. And our last highlight for the week, you just turn orange. You have terrible spray tan. Fuck. Okay. Page 6 reports that that Beyonce and Jay-Z are discussing. I'm sorry, thinking about it as bees are discussing legal action against Kanye West following his comments about their children on social media.
Yeah, well, I hope they do if they do.
I hope they fucking do.
Yeah.
Wait, is that what you guys were talking about earlier about the kids? I thought
Kanye.
I got so confused. I get confused with celebrity. I thought it was his own kids. I got confused with celebrity kids' names.
He's doing some interesting things. His kids are being put in predicaments that I don't think people would approve of, and then he's also saying things about other people's kids and their lives, and okay,
so that's what this is.
He
was making comments about why maybe something about their kids not being shown in public.
Mm-hmm. Making
fuck off, Kanye.
Assumptions. Yeah.
Maybe just not on a platform
comment
like that.
You also don't need to say anything about it. But what a huddle, Chelsea. Way to end it too. Wow, that was a big one. But let's get into today's playbook. For today's playbook, we'll start by breaking down. Oh, nope. We will start with March Madness, breaking down a March Madness recap. We'll go over the MLB season because, well, that's getting started. And lastly, we're going to kick it over to Chelsea and
talk
what do we?
Snow White drama.
Snow White. I'm so sorry.
Snow
I mixed this in the update.
Well, that's okay. But with that, we're going to talk about Snow White and the Snow White drama. I haven't heard anything, so I'm excited. I'm going to pop it over to Arisan, and we're going to go over March Madness.
Yes. March Madness has been mad, y'all. We, for the listeners that don't care about March Madness, I don't know how you can't pay attention because it's like literally on every single TV and it feels like every single update, but that just might be my world algorithm, like out in the world.
It might just be my life.
My life. Like the way basketball is life, ball is life.
My life.
But we here on the pod, my wife, my life,
my life,
my life, both filled out brackets for both the men's and the women's side. And I will say, especially on the men's side, the bracket is more than busted. The bracket is dead. Gonzaga is out. I think I only have 2 picks in the Sweet 16. 2 picks. Seriously? Round of 2. Oh. Yeah. Yep. It wasn't great. You know, women's bracket's still alive. All my Final Four are still in there. Though I will say for between the men's and women's side, the women's side historically, there's not upsets in the same way that there are on the men's sides of brackets. I think it's been like 11 years or something since like you actually see like a Cinderella upset on the women's side. So
wow,
if you kind of fill out your bracket in the more traditional higher seeding on the women's side, it's not until it like you get to the Elite 8 usually that you'll get more upsets or competitive, not that there's competitive matchups, but there was a lot of games on the women's side where like teams were getting their ass whooped by like 50 points. Whereas the men's side, there's upsets, there's like more buzzer beaters right now. It's fun. So first off, Chelsea is killing it in both the men's and women's brackets. Like
kicking our ass.
Fucking random as shit, man.
This just shows you don't need to know anything about anything to fill out and win. There was no method
other than I looked at those numbers a little bit and I was like, sure. I had no. When I got to the end, I was surprised as well. Like
you're like, I didn't even know this was who I was picking.
And I'm going to tell you something on down low. When I was doing the women's bracket, I thought I was doing the men's bracket. So when I got to the end, I was like, I don't know if that's who I would have chose if I thought it was women's. Like, so how it worked out.
Yeah, because you picked Duke for women's, right? So yeah, tell me what your guys'
I don't even know
picks
Duke
for
Auburn,
for
which bracket?
For each bracket. So because for women's, I have UConn. I put UConn winning.
I have South Carolina winning for the women's bracket. And then for the men's bracket, mine is busted because I picked St. John.
And St. John's out.
You did go with John.
St. John's
and I
out.
picked Gonzaga. And I was really bummed that they lost.
Yeah, first round.
And
I picked, I don't even know.
I think
Auburn.
Auburn for men's. Okay. And then you picked Duke for women's.
Yep.
Which Duke. I can see why you thought that you were picking men's. I saw your Duke women's pick, and I was like, interesting. That feels like an interesting pick for Chelsea.
Watch that be that it goes.
I'm surprised I have two teams left in the Sweet 16.
You're trending up.
Yeah.
But you're winning. Good thing we didn't put any money on this.
I know. Can you imagine my attitude today?
Yeah. But speaking of money, I just thought it would be a kind of interesting little background to give folks kind of idea of the business money behind March Madness. One thing that doing the research, of course, we always talk about the difference between men and women's, and NCAA has been working to try to make things more equitable. But as a reminder, Chelsea, I don't know if you knew this. It wasn't until 2022 that the women's side of the tournament could actually claim and use the name March Madness.
Yeah. Not wild.
And so that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, so they couldn't even call their tournament March
It
Madness.
was like a tournament.
What did
just
they fucking call it?
Just the women's
March Mayhem?
No, there was no, they couldn't use the logo, they couldn't use the branding, they couldn't use any of that.
They couldn't even say the month they were in. Goddamn.
I know. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They had to get approval to be able to use the term March Madness.
By who? God?
Right. Like,
sorry, that felt a little
it's
complicated.
the same tournament. It's the same tournament. I just don't understand how that just wasn't even like,
It's
why
like
would they
March
just
is
want to
only
couple
for
it
men.
together?
Okay.
During Women's
Well-
History Month. Fuck that shit.
Oh, the patriarchy.
Apparently it's Men's History Month for basketball.
But for the men's side, March Madness historically and still is the biggest moneymaker for the NCAA.
Whoa.
So because, let's say last year, I think they pulled in $1.24 billion from the March Madness. And that's because they have like biggest of that is their media partnership with CBS is a big part of that funding. And then also ticket sales and sponsorships. But the NCAA doesn't have that same kind of ownership with like college football championships, other sports championships. So it's really, they make their money through March Madness. And what's interesting is this year, March Madness payouts are coming for the women's teams for the first time. So historically, the NCAA makes this money and then, they disperse this money out. I think it was like 91 that it started payouts for the men's team. So how it works is like, there's like what they call like 132 units for schools. So like if you make the tournament, like there's like a unit, and then like depending on how far you get each round, you get like more units, and then an approximate about $2 million dollars per unit, and that money will go to the school.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
And they can distribute the money, like paid out over 6 years, and it can be distributed as they see fit. So it's like a really big deal for, especially when we talk about the Cinderella teams, the like those lower seeds making
smaller
it. Because
schools
sometimes
too.
like smaller schools making it is really this cash infusion that could be like really impactful for the schools.
Big deal for Robert Morris,
yeah. And so it's a lot of money. It kind of approximately is presumably about like $264 million up for grabs for schools.
Oh, shit.
So with that, so that's the men's side. The women's side, that hasn't been the case. This will be the first year. So last year, for example, the women's tournament finals saw more viewership, like 26% more than the men's.
It was better.
The South Carolina and Iowa, right? In the finals, like no schools saw any money from the NCAA from the women's side. No, they don't get any of that money, though. They just penned or on the women's side of March Madness, just signed an agreement, extended rights for the tournament for $65 million. Now, what's interesting is a lot of media rights experts, and this is through they recently told Front Office Sports that NCAA could have negotiated more for the women's tournament, so they could have potentially got between $81 million and $112 million in media partnerships, but then they didn't and got the $65 million because it's like women's game is only growing, which because of that low partnership, because like what they do is like a percentage of the money that they make is what can go to teams. So now for the women's side, there's units and there's payout, but now each unit is worth about $113,000 versus the $2 million that it is for the men's side.
Damn.
And like some people are like, well, this is kind of how the payout and the structure was when it first happened for the men's, and that's the shit that pisses me off because it's like,
no, but
we don't have to start. Yeah, we shouldn't have to start. Well, that's how it started with the men, so you have to go through it, and then it's at the point of like they left money on the table, and it's hurting women's basketball. It's hurting this kind of Anyways, it's like there's
you could get all that money and then immediately the next year it's going to be like, imagine what all that money is going to do to the women's tournament.
Right.
Like,
well, that's also
it's going to even drive that viewership more.
Because I'm wondering if they even like were paying attention to trends and forecasting for the sport, because like we were saying, it's only getting more and more popular. So like, why would you even want to leave the money on the table like that?
Well, Disney was seeing a 200% year-over-year rise in ad sales from the women's tournament. So there's still like progress is being made. Like another thing is when you think of player swag bags, I don't know if you know this, but like the players when they compete in the tournaments get like really cool swag bags, and the men's and women's swag bags have not been made equal. And it wasn't until I think 2022 that they made it the swag bags like equivalent and like what the men and women. And then we've seen those pictures of like, you know, the just facilities and you know, what like gyms. And so is a push for it, but it's just can be frustrating when you see like, yeah, there's a push and then it still can kind of be half-assed, and like media sales, like where like that really matters, that really counts. That's how you make the kind of the progress. That's how you push money, is you need to negotiate those higher things. And we got proof that people are watching it. So that's a little bit of the funness of, you know, the money and kind of the split. I didn't realize how much a school, especially on the men's side, had potentially were earning in depending on how far they were going, but adds a little twist on it. So that's my little March Madness behind the scenes.
Big
madness.
March money madness. Totally show me the money.
Show me the money. I will say, I know we're starting at the bottom for the payouts, but at least
we're getting
I'll take one nugget of truth, is that at least they're getting the payouts now or whatever. Like at least it's happening. It's about damn time.
I don't know if it's because like I'm just more aware of like the women's play and the women's teams, because to me, like I watch NBA, so obviously I see the players that come from the men's side into the NBA, but the names on the women's side at the college level, I think are greater standouts than some of the men's teams. And I don't know if it's also because like the men's side is so saturated, whereas the women's side, like we have fewer players to like kind of like, you know, kind of spotlight, I guess. I don't know. I don't think that's the case though. I think there are just as many great players on the women's side and we hear about them more. So it's really interesting to me. And again, I don't know if this is because I'm like more in tune with the NCAA women's side of things, but they have more marketable names than I feel than the men's side. So it's really interesting that there isn't more of an emphasis on from a business perspective, capitalizing on that. Like that's really interesting to me. Why not?
Why not?
Anyway,
wow.
I went to a few games this past weekend. It was a lot of fun. I really wish it were the women's side of things, but I hope they come next year. Like I think they do a rotation.
Well, women's are in Spokane.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if I want to go to Spokane.
Yeah, sorry, Spokane.
Sorry. But anyway.
You never know. I went to college there for 2 years. I wonder if the bar Twigs is still there.
Well, and that was really interesting, Arisen. I feel like, you know, we don't think about the business side of things and how it impacts actually the teams. I didn't even realize like how much that trickles down. So really interesting. From one sport transitioning over to another sport that is also, I think, something folks look forward to all year. Not everyone, but it is opening weekend this weekend, and I am incredibly excited about it. As you all know, baseball is America's favorite pastime because so much time passes during the play and during the year.
Which America? No, just kidding.
Someone's America. But the reason why is because, of course, the reason why is because the regular season lasts for 162 days. So it's most of the season or most of the year. There are a lot of games that are played, and that's just the regular season. That's not including postseason either. So A lot of games played there, and that's why it's America's favorite pastime. And before the pitch clock, before they started like timing pitches and stuff, a lot of time in a game could pass. So you could be at a baseball game for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why it's become like a cultural thing, because folks, I admittedly am one of them, was not one of those folks that went to a baseball game to watch the game. Like I could go to a game and never see the field.
Oh yeah.
Right?
100%.
Beer garden.
Oh,
Beautiful.
that's
Garlic
part
fries.
of the experience. Yep.
Yeah.
Crickets.
But I have become more and more of a fan, and just wanted to break down like what to expect coming into the season, so folks like my friends here can understand the sport and why so many folks go kind of nuts for the season. But
can I ask just a really dumb question?
No dumb question.
What day is the Mariners opening day?
I'm glad you asked that. So opening day for the MLB is for every team is the same day. Opening day starts the day that we release this podcast. So on March 27th.
They're playing back to back. I'm sorry. The only reason I say is I realized I looked at my calendar. I'm going to a Mariners game on Friday.
Oh yeah. They play
a lot.
So
they often do
that's
that.
how they usually do it, because there are so many games. They play like series. So most series are 2 to 3 games.
What the fuck am I talking about?
No, that's wonderful. This is what we're here for.
We're learning.
I played softball. Like, I don't. This is so stupid.
You're like, what is ball?
Yeah, what is that?
What is baseball?
Yeah.
And get back to your whole story. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was part of it, right? Like 162 games. So obviously they have to play a lot of games back to back. And I think it's much easier for baseball to do that because it's not as strenuous of a sport as like basketball. You can't really play football like back to back like that. That's a whole different like thing, right?
You're just fucking eating in the dugout.
Yeah. Sorry. Exactly. But that starts this weekend. All teams will be playing on opening day. And the reason why is because the league really wants to start like getting everyone on the same playing field, if you will, where they all start at the same time. So it's not like, a bunch of teams kind of staggered and stuff. But as we all know, baseball teams, 9 folks on the team, so it's not a huge team. But then
did we know that? I don't know if I knew how many people.
Not on the team. Sorry,
I never thought
on the
about
field.
It. Yeah.
So what players do you know? Like what positions do you know?
I know. I think I could name them all, but I just didn't think. So you got first base, second base, third base.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the pitcher. You've got the catcher. You've got outfield, right, middle, left, and you got shortstop.
Yep, that's 9.
Look at me go.
Yeah, I thought you were not going to say shortstop.
Oh, I'm going to say shortstop.
I was like, when you went through the
first 3, I said, oh, you forgot one.
Yep, so that's right. So 9 players on the field at a time when they are playing defense. So that's when they are, they are trying to not let the other team score.
It's funny that that's defense. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of wrap your head around that.
Because you're like throwing.
When you're the offensive player, it's the batting lineup, right? So batting lineups are set before the game. It never changes unless they put in a pinch hitter. And once that person replaces another player, that other player that was originally in the lineup is out for the game. They are not batting anymore. And so like that lineup usually happens. There's a leadoff hitter who is usually the quickest person on the team. Then the cleanup hitters are usually the harder, like they hit really well. So that's the lineup that's usually set up for that. And then, of course, like we go through the different plays, and I won't go through all of them because there are a lot of different ones. But are there any ones that are like you don't understand or that you love from the sport?
Plays?
Mm-hmm.
You mean like a curveball?
Like calls? Yeah.
I personally loved playing softball when you had to memorize the stuff. So my coach would always be like, and then just like, it's gone. And you're like, I just watched you like fuck around with your face for like 30 seconds as a 12-year-old for you to say like, just try to hit the ball.
Or like the little call to like try to steal. Do I try to steal? Do I try to steal?
Yeah.
Oh, do a bunt. Like
they're all talking like their own language.
Yes. I always thought that was funny.
It's like a bunt. Those are actually really hard, I guess. I didn't realize like
bunts
a bunt is really hard.
I could do both sides hitting. I'm just going to say left and right.
Whoa.
Just saying. I was kind of a star in 7th grade.
Look at that. Yeah. Anyway, are there any ones that are interesting to you? Probably not because you guys are not in. Yeah.
What are you
For
talking?
different
I
plays.
didn't know that there was plays.
There were different.
I know all
like
of
different
these.
calls, right? So like,
Oh no, I feel like as much as I hate on baseball, I feel like I
you
actually
understand it.
know all of this.
Yeah, because it's one of those
because
sports
it's
that
America's game.
Yeah, it's America's
God
game.
damn it! I've been got.
And
We
you
went
know
as a
why
kid
too? I
when
think
Mariners were young.
Yeah, and it's also one of those sports because it moves at a slower pace. It's easier to
You
pick
can
up
learn it
because you can really learn it, right? Like you can really understand it, and I think that's a really fun way to kind of get plugged into it. One of my favorite things, though, the Seattle Mariners, when we have a grand slam, we call it the grand salami sandwich because it's so much fun. Like he's
the
like mayo,
off.
mustard, whatever it is, and all the fireworks go off. So that is always one of my favorite ones, especially when a game happens. But one of my other favorite things about baseball is the pageantry of it all. I think it's one of the sports where there's like, you know, players come out with like jewelry on. They're like decked out because they can. They're not really touching other players. So they can come out all like blinged out. And then of course they have their walk-up songs and that really gets the crowd in. So I had a question for all of you, because this is something I think about every season is what would your walkout song be if you were on a baseball team?
Wait,
I've got two.
Do I have deja vu? Have you asked us this question before?
I think I talked about it at my place of current work. What did I say it like that?
Maybe we
did
have.
that at work.
Oh.
Did we do this?
I think we did.
I don't know.
Listeners, sound off in the YouTube.
It's been so long, but
I'll go with mine, which I hope is consistent. If we did talk about this recorded and posted online,
could change.
Humble by Kendrick Lamar or Obsessed Mariah Carey. Can you imagine just swinging that bat? Why is so obsessed with me?
Oh, I don't know. I feel
one.
like
I like the Humble one.
Like maybe it's because we were just talking about it. The Walk It Out feels like a fun.
Why did that just play in my head? That just played in my head as you said it.
That, like it feels. It feels fun. Otherwise, I would probably do I would say probably like a Lizzo or Beyonce song.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Who Run the World. That would probably be mine. Let's do that one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. But anyway, this is a long season. There's going to be lots to cover. One of my other favorite things about the sport, we talked about hockey and fighting in hockey. One of my favorite things in baseball is when the dugout clears and everyone's just shoving each other on the diamond.
That shit is
That's one of my favorite things.
Or if you see someone just lose their shit throwing stuff in the dugout.
Yeah.
That's a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah. I used to, back in the Mariners heyday, I always was, as a kid, got a kick out of Lou, our Pinella just screaming, going to town, throwing bases, screaming at, throwing the hat,
dirt
throwing
up,
braces,
literally kicking dirt.
And to me, that I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is legit.
Yeah, people think it's a chill sport, and you know, sometimes it gets a little feisty out there. And one of my favorite fun facts about the Mariners team is very random, but Andres Munoz, who's our closer, he has a cat, and he brings his cat on the road with him. He travels with the cat. And it's my favorite. I love it.
It's giving comfort, like animal. Yeah. Can I also say, didn't you tell us on a podcast that the reason that the coach wears a uniform is because, like, if shit got bad, he might have to play or something? Like, he's...
I don't know. I don't know. That was me.
This is just like proof that it's 6 months we actually covered the close of the MLB season.
And now we're coming back.
Yankees winning, Dodgers winning. I already forgot.
Couldn't tell you.
It was the Dodgers.
And we're back in it, and we're like, wait a second. Yeah. We talk about.
And that's why there's going to be several seasons of this podcast. Maybe season 6 will be like, listen here, the astrology signs of all the coaches. I will say... the reason I bring that up, if it's even true, is just like imagining Lou Pinella having to get out there and play the Mariners in like 2004.
But like he was a former player at some point, like so.
Fucking funny, but in that state, it would have been good to see.
Yeah, 100%.
Pure comedy.
Pure comedy.
Baseball's fun, and one of the big things people also talk about all the new food options at all the different ballparks. So there's a lot of really freaking delicious food, and you have time to eat it. There's time to go get it and time to go eat it.
Yeah, there's this teaser. I think it was the New York Yankees. I don't think I actually clicked into the article that they were introducing a new dessert, and it was like a big deal. And they're like, Was it?
It's
What it is?
tiramisu in a baseball
Oh,
cap.
fuck yeah.
I mean, I will say the Mariners food game has really stepped
Really,
up.
Is Mr. Softee a Seattle thing, or is
Mr.
that an
Softy?
every?
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
froyo or like no custard
Interesting
ice
name.
cream.
Never
No,
heard of
it's
it.
just like soft serve ice cream, and
That's
that
what it is.
shit.
It's
First
so
off,
good.
they basically give you a bucket of ice cream. Like
Yeah.
if you order a bowl, it's a bucket. Like I can't eat that thing
And you're in the
by myself.
hot weather, like,
Mm-hmm.
and everything
So it's
too.
a race against time. But they have it at the Kraken. They have it at the Mariners. I'm gonna go on a wager here. And I've never said that in my life, but
I'm going on wager on a limb.
Yeah, I
probably
don't
have
know.
one.
I bet you they fucking do.
Okay, you know, one of my
Dippin'
other
Dots feels
they're
like
still there.
the Mariners.
Dippin' Dots
Banana
is still
split,
there.
yeah.
One of my other favorite things about, like, aside from the food, because I definitely go and I have a menu that I like look through. Yeah. But one of my favorite things, or just a random fun fact about baseball, is that all of the fields are different. So every single field, like a home run in one field may not be a home run in another field.
Oh, for sure.
And then, of course, some of them are indoor and some are outdoor. So in Seattle, like I read that it's much harder to hit a home run because of the marine layer. So we talked about science last week. I'm going to talk about a little bit more science now. The weather impacts how the trajectory of the ball, obviously. And so fewer folks are
do this to us.
Wow.
women in
science
STEM
into it.
Yeah.
All right.
This is literally women in STEM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Starts here first, ladies.
Okay. It's kind of hard to transition again because both y'all were education. You were women in STEM.
You are educating us.
And you were educating. And now I'm going to take us to a place where it's more of a call to action to the listeners. If I'm going to try to be important here. Wow. Let me tell you. Sorry, my chair made a funny noise. Let me just tell you where I'm going with this. Okay. Wahida, you said you didn't know about this, but I've seen it even not being on social media.
Here's the thing. I don't like one of these.
And I can see why. There is some tea going on right now, and I don't really know if it's tea, so I'll just say that going on. But right now, there's some swirl happening with the two main female actresses in the new remake of Disney's Snow White and live action remake of Snow White. It's Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. And I think we all remember, some of us, like myself, might be personally haunted by this Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively drama that's still sort of going on, and are kind of sick of that storyline. Well, to me, it seems like this is starting a little bit again, just with the new movie and new cast. So for a little bit of context for listeners, the movie has been linked to some drama for a while. So before the movie was even, any trailers were out, anything like that, some people were upset that Rachel Zegler was cast as Snow White in general. Others were upset that of Gal Gadot's pro-Israel comments, and then to just casting, or if anyone at all, like who should play the Seven Dwarfs. So there was a drama about that as well. So on multiple angles, there's just always been kind of like a revolving story around this new release. And so the latest thing that seems to be coming up is that there's a rift between the two main actresses, Zegler and Gadot, and many people are trying to point the finger as to why. And this is what's really reminding me of the Justin and Blake of it all, is like there's some people are just kind of bringing in a lens and coming at it and just doing the whole back and forth and coming up with all kinds of theories. So some people are saying it's political differences. Other people, I don't know. They're just saying, I don't know. They're just making basically anything.
Trying to pit two women against each other.
Just pitting each other apart. And even Disney, because of some of this, has scaled back, like notably scaled back a lot of the promotion of the movie. And after the release, which was 2 Fridays almost ago, it's debuted with pretty low numbers, Rotten Tomato and Metascores. So the whole thing has not been great. But my whole point with bringing this up is like, if you do see it, I think it's a little easy to jump in and slam dunk on this and be like, it's a terrible movie and it's because these two women didn't get along, and kind of go in with what was going on with the It Ends With Us drama. And I want some of our listeners maybe to like take a pause and see if we can learn anything from that last story, and just think of like, what are the things we can actually objectively take before seeing the movie and process and see if this drama is just swirl or if it's really important at all. And so do I think that, like, my main point is, do I even think the drama is real? And I think it's really important for all of us to take a step back and say, like, maybe it could be. It's probably not. Um, I think first and foremost, it's pretty obvious that Zegler and Godot are just in two totally different life stages. So Gal Gadot is married. She has 4 kids, and she's 39, so a little bit older. Zegler is 16 years younger. And, she kind of just came to prominence in 2021 in West Side Story. And I think they're just living 2 different lifestyles. Like, there's a huge age gap. They're living 2 different things. Zegler's just kind of coming up. Gal Gadot has been with us for a little bit since Wonder Woman. And so I think they're just in 2 completely different life stages. And I don't really know if that means that there's drama. I think that they could just be living different lives. I know that on the SAS, like, we work together and we're friends, but I also don't think it's like crucial that you're best friends with your coworkers, or even having to hang out with your coworkers outside of work.
Right.
And so just because these women aren't doing that, does that mean there's drama? I don't really think so. And if they do have different political views, does that mean that they just inherently don't like each other? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I don't really know why that's important for us to dissect in the story. The other thing that was important that I felt to call out is that the Snow White movie franchise isn't new to drama. So when Snow White and the Huntsman movie, right? The Huntsman, starring Kristen Stewart, came out, there was all kinds of drama with that release as well. She was cheating with the director. And this was all going down during the twilight of it all. So
that's right.
This isn't just a thing that's happening with this movie. It's happened with previous ones. And, I just think it's not really a story with a lot of substance, and they're trying to push something again and get people all in this swirl and make it a TikTok of it, like stories where everyone's talking. And I'm sure this will probably keep popping up as we see more and more things come out about the movie. And I just challenge people to just go see the movie, then make your own judgment, and remember that we've got representation. There are positive things we can take, like not Gal Gadot, but Zegler is like the first person that's not like a white woman as the main person as Snow White. Like, we need to look at some of these positives, and if you don't like the movie, that's fine. But I don't know if we need to pit these 2 women apart just because of these made up things. And this is like a good opportunity for a new generation to get to know the story of Snow White and enjoy some of it, and see Zegler, who is a phenomenal singer, highlight some of those skills, and maybe she'll be in more things down the line that we do enjoy. But that's kind of where I'm with it. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts, but thought it was important to kind of bring up as we covered the Justin and Blake drama a lot in the fall, and kind of see a similar theme come up.
I appreciate the kind of bringing it up in this lens, because I think especially when we cover pop culture, and I know I'm not like a pop culture girly, I appreciate the understanding of like what we're being fed and the narrative we're trying to be fed, and being like, let's be discerning on this, especially in my mind when it's 2 women that are being put against each other, as like, let's make this a really big issue. Like, it's almost this feeling that women aren't allowed to not get along.
Human.
Like, we have to be friends with everyone. Everyone has to be happy. Everyone has to be like perfect. Everyone, if you're not getting along, then there's something wrong with you. And it's such a big deal. And there's so drama. Like, we are allowed to not like people. We are allowed to not like our coworkers. And that does not make the work that we do less important. That doesn't make the art we do with people less important. So I think that is where, when I see this stuff, even if some of the stuff is true and they don't get along, like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Truly. As long as there was no harm done to these women, like, let them not be like get along. And then the fact that they aren't promoting this movie at the same cadence as like other movies because of this is such like that's such bullshit, because it's like feeding into this like women are drama, women are the issue, you don't like each other, so we don't want people to be mad because women are mad and women can't have emotions other than like happiness. So I think that is like the part of it where I'm like, I almost want to go see this movie to give like just so that I could support that side of women are allowed to have emotions, other like multiple sets of emotions. So that's my take.
See that? And then Chelsea, to your point, like they're at different points in their lives. And I feel like there's this an assumption that women, no matter what, should be getting along. Like not even, you know, like not no drama or anything, but just the fact that we should get along no matter what. And not only are they at different points of their lives, they have those differing opinions. So I think it also that perspective is also a very narrow definition of what women's relationships look like. Like we become friends with each other because we have similarities, or we are, you know, engage in the same things and things like that. And saying that all women should get along just because we share that one identity dismisses the complexity of all the women that are involved, right? Like we make up half of the population. There are going to be times where we do not agree with every other woman out there. And like that is also something that needs to be acknowledged as well. Like we're not singular. We are women. We share that one identity, but then we also have so many other various identities that we hold independently of that too. And that impacts how we might want to work with each other. And that's okay too. And to Eris, and to your point, I feel like that, I don't know, will impact the art, because if they are good artists, I can't say that I appreciate like Gal's artistry. Like even as an actress, I don't know if I'm a big fan of hers, but that's separate of like Gal the person, right? Like Gal as an actress, I'm not a fan of. So there was already like a piece of me that was not really interested in watching the movie. I might watch it for Rachel because of what you said. Like this is a historical moment where she's one of the first like women of, you know, women of color, or like non-white Snow Whites. And that's really cool as well. And I love her singing and all of that. So seeing the art as art, but this begs the question, like, where is that line of, where do we separate the art from the artist too? That's a separate conversation, but
and it feels like, just to build on Arisane's a little bit, is like, and I don't want to make a blanket statement, but it does feel a little bit of like this, to me, it feels like this, the two main characters didn't come, you know, get along, is coming out after maybe they got to the final pieces of putting this project together and are seeing, shoot, maybe it wasn't as good of a product
and so
that came. And I'm not saying that I think they're blaming that conflict as to that conflict is coming out because there wasn't, I don't know, synergy or whatever. And to me, that just feels like such a cop out, because it's like, there's been controversy from the start.
But you also
like people were upset with decisions on casting from the beginning, whether it's Rachel, the Seven Dwarves, whatever. And that's a company issue. That's not the two main actress issues.
Exactly.
Those are choices you made as a company. And now it feels like we're going to scale back and let this kind of story go. And that just feels shitty.
Like, put the onus on them.
Yeah, it's blaming women. Like all of a sudden they have to have, because it's also like their roles, they're villain, like it's villain versus no, like in the movies, and usually it's not like they're interacting in the same kind of way. Like the story itself, usually they're not interacting in a bunch. So like that synergy of it, I think women supporting women is huge, but I think you have to support women and like, again, those complexities. And I definitely, like, it's easy to be like, well, the movie didn't go right. Let us like lean into this, like you said, that's such a good point. Lean into this narrative of they hate each other. So it's actually their fault that this movie didn't go well, not because we didn't cast it well or because we produced it well or it wasn't written well.
And not because live action Disney films have not maybe been the best at all. Like already kind of a dud. Like, so I don't know. I find it interesting. I read about it and sometimes get like pulled in by these storylines for sure. But I also think it's really important as listeners to take that step back and be like, just because everybody's saying this, there are a lot of layers we can peel back, even if like Gal Gadot's not your favorite or Rachel's, like, I know both of them have people feeling lots of ways. Even if they're not your favorite people, we still owe it to everybody to put a critical eye to it and really pause in that and not just jump in with, our already kind of preconceived thoughts about them.
Yeah. I love that you actually brought this up. I know I was a little hating on this story, but I think it's actually really important. So like, I appreciate you bringing that up, Chelsea. So thank you. And
I also just one last thing, the thought in my mind too is like, we see these actors and actresses as like these really prominent figures, and we think that they have a lot of power, and in some cases they do, but in a lot of cases they don't. And I think to this point, right, the conversation here, it's really also important for us to kind of dissect and investigate the powers that be behind that and why, they get placed in these positions, right? They're puppets too, and they're like us at their jobs. Like we are doing our jobs. We're a cog in the wheel, and so are they in the larger scheme of things. They have a little bit more influence, but that doesn't change, how they have to operate within the systems that they operate in. So,
And with that, mic drop. That's a wrap for the pod today. Let us know what stories you want us to cover this next week. Good luck on the rest of your brackets. I'm sure Chelsea's just going to kill us, continue to murder us.
I'm almost out. I'm done.
Yeah. Men's brackets.
I think you both are out. Aren't you both out of the men's? Like I see an X by your name.
Yeah. That means
where we fell apart. Sorry, Taylor Swift. Hopefully I can take home the gold if there's even such thing in the tournament.
We'll get you a medal.
If not, don't forget to hit follow and subscribe to our show on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple, and turn on the dang notifications so you can stay up to date on all the latest sports and society stories.
And please rate the pod while you're at it. But in the meantime, stay sharp, stay sassy, and we will catch you next time because it's baseball season.